1905, town-to-town racing. These races were kept to understand the reliability of the early motorcycles, which were cycles literally modified to accommodate a motor. These races were usually 400 to 500 kilometers long. This type of race was common in the US, Australia and across Europe. This was utilized as an opportunity by brands to showcase their motorcycles' reliability. Board track racing was a type of motorsport popular in the United States during the 1910s and 1920s. Competition was conducted on circular or oval race courses with surfaces composed of wooden planks. This type of track was first used for motorcycle competition, wherein they were called motordromes, before being adapted for use by various different types of racing cars. The majority of the American National Championship races were contested at such venues during the 1920s. Board tracks proliferated in part because they were inexpensive to construct, but they lacked durability and required a great deal of maintenance to remain usable. Many of the tracks survived for as little as 3 years before being abandoned. With the onset of the Great Depression in the early 1930s, board track racing disappeared rapidly. However, several of its most notable aspects have continued to influence American motorsports up to the present day, including a technical emphasis on raw speed produced by the steep banking, ample track width to allow steady overtaking between competitors. The first board track for motor racing was the circular Los Angeles Motordrome, built in 1910. Interest in motorsport was exploding during this period, and by 1929, at least 24 board tracks had been built around the country, although by 1931, 20 of the 24 had been shut down or abandoned, and from 1932 on there were no more championship-level races run on boards. The tracks were relatively inexpensive to construct compared to more permanent facilities. In 1915, a crowd of 80,000 was reported in Chicago. There are various factors that led to the ultimate failure of this sport. The most prominent was the cost of maintenance. There was no suitable wood preservative available, and depending on climate, tracks needed new boards every 5 years on average. Resurfacing required as much as 1 million board feet of new lumber per 2.01 kilometers of track. The Scottish 6 Days Trial is an internationally recognized motorcycle trials competition, which has been running since 1909. Motorcycle riders from all over the world compete in this extreme sport, covering as much as 100 miles a day on road and off-road routes. It aimed to be the most challenging motorcycle trial ever held. The first Isle of Man TT race was held on Tuesday the 28th of May 1907. The first race was won at 38.22 miles per hour. The Isle of Man TT Tourist Trophy is frequently called the world's last great motorsports event, a title that is beyond well-deserved. This sport is frequently called the world's last great motorsports event. Every June racers compete on closed public 2-lane country roads at speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour, making it one of, if not the, most dangerous motorcycle race in the world. Motorcycle chariot racing is a motorsport that combines motorcycle racing and chariot racing. The sport was developed in Australia in the 1920s and quickly spread to Europe and America. The 1925 film, Ben-Hur, did coincidentally help push the popularity of this sport. This sport was widely recognized till the 1930s, but eventually faded away.